Hello, welcome to a new version of the CarMugz Podcast, hosted by me, Adam Ivell, and brought to you by 621.com, the best place for all of your modified car parts needs. So now that's out of the way, as just to say, thank you very much for giving me some time of your day today. This is me practicing with a new microphone, so I really wanted to get a podcast out of the way with the newish setup. Unfortunately, I bought two, not realising you can't plug two of the same microphone into a MacBook, leaving me with a bit of a predicament, but I have found out that you can send one off to get recoded. That means it will work with two. So I've got a host of guest lines up. I've been in touch with a lot of your favourite YouTubers to be able to get them together, to be able to get together with them, to be able to produce a podcast, finding out all about them, all about their life, everything that makes them tick and everything that they enjoy, and hopefully be able to have a great conversation in the meantime. I hope you can't hear Finn moseying around in the background because we are only set up on my computer desk in my living room with this blue ice thing microphone. And now he's scratching at the back door. We've just been on a really long walk. But we're going to carry on anyway. We're going to get through this without, hopefully, Finn being too much of a distraction. And I just wanted to say, welcome. Let's get stuck into it. Today, the topics are all going to be brought to you by you. If you commented on my Instagram questionnaire that I put up on my story, we can dive straight in. I asked just for some questions that we might be able to go through on here. And I've got some funny ones, I've got some good ones, and I've got a lot about cars. We're only going to dive into a few subjects today. I don't want this to be too long, as this is just a practice one, so I really don't even know what I'm doing. This is just, we're just going to give it a go. And I'm recording on GarageBand. I've never used this program before, so I really hope I'm doing it correctly and that I don't have to go through this multiple times. So we're going to go into the questions now. I have no real way of doing this because for some reason my phone won't print screen anymore. So do you know what? We're going to start on this topic. It's nothing to do with cars, but since the new MacBooks and iPhones have all been announced, my MacBook's been playing up, and my iPhone 8 Plus has been acting like an absolute janky old phone. So I don't know whether that's just Apple playing their old tricks on me, but I've also got to quickly say, how do I go to this real quick? There's a girl that's saying her boyfriend pays me more attention than he does her, and she looks really nice, man. So, Nathan, I'm not going to say what she calls you, because it's quite complimentary, and I'm not going to say it on the podcast. But, yeah, I think she loves you, man, so go give her some attention. Nathan Dorrington. I'm not going to call you her nickname. You can keep that between you guys. So, I think we should start off with a car-based question, obviously, because the podcast is called CarMugz. So let me go back a little bit and we can go from there. And the first question I have been asked is, where are we going to go when Rockingham closes? And that's from Joss. And Essex Constabulary take away our wheels, etc. And give us 3 points. Because if you don't know, I got pulled over by the police and got 3 points for my wheels and my fitment. Joss, I don't know yet. I'm panicking a little bit myself because obviously I've spent an absolute fortune on my Nissan over the last year getting it ready for drift days, local drift days, obviously drift days from abroad, and I'm not too worried though because I know Sweets has got a lot up his sleeve. Sweets runs the Rockingham Drift Days if anybody doesn't know, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to find some really nice venues for us to use and still have that same relaxed vibe that he's managed to create at Rockingham. I think it's been fantastic for the community more than anything. I think it's grown amazingly. And I really look forward to seeing what the future holds. You can't really worry too much. The next question that I've got to answer here, I might try and string this out a little bit longer and actually go into a bit more detail, but when I'm talking here on my own, it's quite difficult to gauge really where I'm at. I don't even know what sort of time frame I'm on this, so we're going to have to just see if we can work it out. I've got a cup of tea as well, so if you hear me slurping, give me a break because there's not two of us to break this podcast up a little bit. So I need to jump into a second question, and I'm going to jump into one that a lot of people have asked, and that is, how's Finn recovering? If you don't know, my dog's had a disease called muscular muscle something or other, MMM it's abbreviated to, and basically it could have killed him. It can lock off their jaws, they can destroy all the muscles in their jaws, and then they can't eat food anymore. So it could have ended really nasty, but we got it just in time, and he's looking at me now. I'm talking about you, man, your ear's burning. And he's on a dose of steroids that we have been able to lower, but the problem is, if you don't come off of the steroids, it's going to be very hard for him to shift that huge amount of weight you've seen him put on. And obviously, it's not nice for me either to see it, and we're trying to walk him a lot more. I say I'm trying to walk him a lot more make sure I take more care of what I feed him and treats I give him and stuff. But the problem is he's a Dalmatian, man, and they're an absolute nightmare for this sort of thing, like eating and just being bouncy and that. So it's hard to stop him ripping up the sofa. So that's part and parcel of that, I think. But overall, I think he's getting much healthier. He started running around like a bit of a lunatic again. Now his dose has been brought down, which is obviously fantastic for me as his owner. And yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. The only thing that worries me is he's also on a chemotherapy drug that counteracts another one of the drugs that he's on, and but from damaging his liver, I think it is, something along those lines. And I'm noticing some hair loss on his legs, and under his belly. Obviously, I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm not too concerned on it at the minute. I don't know whether it's just me being overly paranoid or whether he's just getting really fat, and we need to keep watch on that. But yeah, that's where we're at with Finn. Someone has asked, let me just find the question. It was regarding the Saxon. I really want to answer this because I think a lot of people give me grief without really knowing what's going on about this car. Where is it? I've also got a cold as well, so if I start making like horrible noises, that's why. God, that was gross, sorry. Someone asked me, what are the plans on the Saxo? And I can't find who asked me that question. God, I'm awful at this. Basically, I bought that Saxo. It was Ian Opalby Fleming. He asked me what's the plans for the Saxo, and the reason I bought it initially was a joke. I didn't realise it was as bad as it is, as with most second-hand cars, especially stuff like the Saxo. I didn't realise how bad the car actually was, and I was just going to flip it. I was going to do a quick buy and sell and MOT and flip it, but the car itself is really, 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 really rusty. And I've been planning for a long time to do a welding course. It's something I really think I'd enjoy. I thought I'd enjoy, and I thought I'd be quite good at it as well. I tend to get stuck into stuff, and I focus really hard, and then I tend to get quite good at things. So I was like, right, I want to be able to do welding, mainly for my own benefit with cars, and it means I can buy probably way far gone cars than I would have been able to before. And I'd be able to afford to fix them because I could do all the hard labour. Well, when I saw that this Saxo was a complete mess, I was like, should I just break it for parts? But I did start my welding course. I actually started it last week. It's once a week for the next 10 weeks. And I honestly, even after my first lesson, I was obsessed with it. I was like, this is so much fun. So I've managed to get a second-hand welder. I need to get some new gas for it, but I'm going to learn a bit of MIG welding this coming Thursday. And it then means I can start practicing here and just prepping the car and getting it all bits and pieces done like that. The car itself, to me, I don't actually care about it whatsoever. I mean, I could set it on fire tomorrow and it'd just be a bit of a loss of money. And I don't want to send out any disrespect to any fans of the French hatchbacks out there. This car is just an absolute rot box. So for me, it's just a practice car to practice welding on. And if I can bring it back to some type of form of glory after I've done all the hard work on it, then fantastic. That would be amazing, and it would be a bit of an accomplishment as well. So that's why I've got it. That's why I haven't got rid of it. And all of the other malarkey, I see a lot of people like, just sell it and get something out. It cost me, I'll tell you guys listening to the podcast how much it cost me. It cost me £250. I've spent altogether £70 on parts for it, and if I can find one more bolt, it should be rolling. There's a bolt missing from the gearbox, which means we can't basically fill it up with any gearbox fluid at the minute. But hopefully we'll be able to sort something along the lines out. I love working on it. Me and Peck have been working on it, and it's been cool. It's been really, really cool. So I am now going to look for another question. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find another question. It doesn't have to be car related as such. A lot of them are based around which Honda do I hate the most, which I find so weird because I'm obviously not going to dive into stuff like that, because I'll be honest, I don't really have an opinion on most cars anymore. As I've got older, I've learnt what I really enjoy, and everything I don't enjoy, I kind of just long off, it's kind of whatever. Doesn't really bother me. Okay, Connor Kersons has asked me a question about Essex. And he's asked, best and worst thing about being from Essex. I think the stereotype I get, and people taking a mick out of my accent, that's probably the most annoying stuff. And being corrected on words when I don't really think I say them wrong. I just maybe over pronunciate things, or I miss out certain letters, but that's probably the worst. The best thing is that it's the same sort of thing. I love having my accent. I love being from where I'm from. I love, the banter you get from being an Essex boy and being from Essex, and I think Essex girls are wicked, and I love it. I genuinely do. I wouldn't want to be from anywhere else. Maybe Ireland. Maybe I'd choose to be from Ireland, but I feel like the Irish and Essex people have a great connection anyway. That's what I've found anyway. Lou Crew has asked me, this is all Instagram names, sorry. So Lou Crew has asked me, what advice can you give to someone who wants to start drifting in the UK? What I would say is get a low-powered, cheap car. You will crash. And I feel like you have to say you will crash, and that's if you want to progress further. And that's if you stick at it. And then if you don't stick at it and you've had a few days where you haven't stuck at it, or a few months, and you're like, do you know what, I don't think drifting's for me, at least you've only bought a cheap car instead of a very expensive one that you've probably wrecked, or you've just not had a good time, and you're just stuck with an expensive car. I'd definitely advise an old BMW or an MX-5, something low powered with a good balance that you can weld the diff in, or if you're lucky enough, get one with LSD, and you can just go kick it around and have fun and practice, because I've learned in drifting, it doesn't matter what car you're driving, as long as you're getting seat time in, then that's the most important thing. The drift day I did in my MX-5, my completely standard MX-5, I'd like to remind everybody, was probably the most beneficial for me as a driver, because it meant I had to adjust what I was used to. I've become very, very lucky with my Nissan of having power on tap with the boost, and being out, and the chassis is fantastic. That Nissan chassis is amazing, and having the MX-5, which is an equally good chassis, I will not say a bad word about the MX-5. It's a fantastic little car. But having no power and no boost, it meant I had to learn to drive a different way, and I feel like that was the most valuable thing I've ever had when it comes to my driving, my drifting, and the enjoyment that I've got out of it. And that's all I can say is if you can, I wouldn't go in there and try and just make a load of friends, because I feel like when you make friends, you just accept the first people that come along, and they're probably not got your best interests at heart. Grow with people, go and meet people naturally, and just try and have a open and genuine relationship with somebody, and you might find a best friend. I believe I've made a few best friends through the drifting alone, and I can't thank that enough. They all know who they are. I speak to them almost every single day. We play Xbox together all the time. They are my best friends now, and I hope that we get to spend more time together, even though we don't all live near each other. And that's obviously the main thing. I feel like if you can build a trust with somebody, you can skid with them, because if you trust that person, you trust their driving, you trust them as a person, you're homeward bound, man. And I think that's my advice. I might be wrong. I hope I'm not, obviously. There's obviously many ways to get into something. You can go and buy a fully set up car and go out and be the best driver on the track instantly, but you might be very talented, or you might be getting a lot of luck, and that luck will come back and bite you in the arse. So yeah, that's all I can really suggest on that. I'd say get down to an easy track, go out and just have fun, because that's really all I can offer from where I've been. That's all I did. So Ryan, with lots of A's, 1405, has asked me, what career would you have chosen if you weren't doing what you're doing now? Now, this is going to probably sound a bit funny if you watch my latest video regarding the police, but I would be a policeman. I always wanted to be a copper as a kid. I actually always wanted to be in traffic police, because I thought I could make a difference instead of being a dickhead one like Mr. Roid Rage was. But because I feel like if you can teach people instead of just punish them, and that's a way to actually gain not just respect, but maybe you actually change their way of thinking. I feel like if you're super negative towards somebody about whatever they love, then you're normally going to get a very nasty reaction back. Whereas if you are positive and you just say, look, we need to educate you on this, this is where you're going wrong, or this should not be happening, but we don't take away from what somebody enjoys, then that way that message can get across. Oh my goodness me, sorry about that. So I think it would be police. I was never very good at college. I'm not book smart, unfortunately, as much as I wish I could be. My little sister has just got a master's degree, and I just really wish I could be like her when it comes to book smarts and knowledge, but I learn in a different way. I learn visually, I learn from my own mistakes. Having my own company from a very young age has taught me that there's a lot of pressure. People hate success if it isn't for them. I think that's what I've learned as well. So I think a copper would be an awesome job. I think I'd love it. I really do. I do think I'd be good at it as well. I think I'd be. I always believe in myself, though. I believe I'd be good at pretty much whatever I try. So that's why I believe I'd like to be a policeman. And I'd still always consider it. If what I do now went to shit, I think I'd still look at enrolling in the police and starting from the bottom and working my way up. That's honestly what I'd do. I think it'd be cool. Right, another question from Lloyd Freely, and it's actually a really cool question that I wanted to dive into, was if you were to restore a classic car, what would you choose and why? Because I actually have a couple of answers to this question. I'm just going to tell you straight up what comes to my forefront of my brain when I read that, and it is a Toyota A86 Terreno. I would kill for one of those cars. Not actually kill, if there's any police listening out there. But I would do a lot for one of those, and I've actually been recently looking for a shell. There's been a couple pop up, but one was way too expensive and it was too far away. It would have ended up being about $4,500 car before I'd even put suspension on it, and the chassis, and even started to tidy up the rust. So that was just out of reach. And there's another one that's popped up for £900 on Facebook. A few people have sent me, but it's too far gone for me. And with how hard parts are for them, I don't want one that rotten. I'd be willing to save up a little bit more and buy a shell that was in good condition. And I mean good, but a good rolling shell. I'd love a rolling shell, even if it doesn't have an engine and stuff, because whether I'd stick with a 4Age, I don't know. But it'd just be that'd be the first car. The second one would be a Mk1 Volkswagen Golf, which might not be what some people are expecting, but I think they're beautiful. I used to have a 5-door one when I was about 19. I called it Ronnie. It was amazing. I loved that little car, and the only reason I sold it was because I tried to get insured on a DC5 Integra back then. They were my dream car growing up, and I was like, I want a DC5 Integra. And I had Ronnie, and I parted ways with it for £1,500, actually to a guy who drifts. Now we're still in the drift community together, so he doesn't have the car anymore. The car has been sold recently and is now fully restored, from what I understand, in a completely different colour, which is pretty amazing. As an ex-owner of the car, that someone enjoyed it but didn't have enough money to put into it. It's great to see the car that's been loved by somebody else. And I'd like to get it would be a Mk1 GTI if I could afford one, but my goodness me, the prices of them have gone absolutely mental. Another car that I'm 100% sure people wouldn't think of would be a Volkswagen Corrado VR6. Maybe not the fastest car in the world, maybe not the most appealing, but I just think they're so cool. It's another one of those cars I always used to see growing up, and I was like, I would love one of those. And I have always considered doing a VTEC swap into one, but purely because I obviously love Honda engines. But I think for now, I've got enough on my plate, and I don't need to stress myself out with any more very complex projects. So I think we're going to just hold tight on all of that. And I'm just going to try and finish what I've started within the Civic EG6, which has been my first restoration job. And I haven't been too hands-on with it when it comes to the bodywork, but that's what I hope to change in the future now I've learnt welding, obviously. I'll still obviously use Castleport Restorations, and that's Nick Bolingbroke, for paint and any advice on that, but he's a friend of mine as well, so he'll be willing to give me that. I know because I've already spoke to him. And yeah, I hope that's a question that you've enjoyed me answering, seeing a little dive into the cars that I like. There's one more, there's two more really, that would be a completely different type of car that I've also considered recently, but I need to stop looking at cars because I've too many anyway. I think we all understand that. But I'd like a 60s Mustang, like one of the original Mustangs, or a 68, 69 Camaro, something like that I could really get my teeth stuck into, really just start to enjoy and see where that goes. And I'd love an American car. As you can probably tell by my dad, he's really into his American cars. I love my American cars, but for now, with how old I am and what I enjoy doing with cars, I don't really see a cruise culture car as the sort of thing that I want in my life. I want cars that I can go sideways in, that I can go fast around racetracks in, that are, if I'm being completely honest, a bit poncy and flashy, like the M3 is, the white with the black wheels. Is a bit showy car, albeit very capable and very fast, but I just can't afford to modify that. But that's a whole other story. Right, let's find another question that maybe it's a bit off topic from cars. Obviously, I do YouTube, as you may be listening to this on. And Killian, I believe your name may be pronounced, has asked, do you ever regret starting YouTube? The answer is no. I actually regret not getting stuck into it when I did. I started out about the same sort of time that Mighty CarMugz did, maybe about a year and a half after them. I didn't actually know who they were. I didn't start up because of them. I started up because I just didn't want to use forums anymore, and I just felt it was an easier way to post my build. But being an arrogant little shit that I was when I was younger, I was like, well, people aren't paying me for this, but I do get paid for 621, so I'm going to focus more just on the business and growing the business, and the podcast can get, no, not podcast, sorry, the videos can get the fuck because they don't earn me any money. That was honestly what I thought. But I didn't realise there was huge money to be made in YouTube, and I think that could have been a potential draw to it if I'd have known that. But at the time, I was in quite a toxic relationship, and it just wasn't right for me. I don't really want to discuss the relationship here on my own anyway, because that's quite depressing, isn't it? But I was in a relationship that I didn't have much leeway or say in. So if it meant stopping something I loved, I tended just to do it because it was the easier thing to do. So I stopped doing the YouTube, and I really do regret that. I don't regret starting at all. It's given me some incredible opportunities over the years. It's given me a lot of free stuff over the years. You know, it's been hugely beneficial to me. I believe it's been fantastic for the expansion of 621, of my company. And it's also been a way that I've met friends, because obviously people recognise me before I recognise them sometimes. So it's a way that I've been able to grow in more ways than one, and it's given me confidence. I think when you're putting yourself out there, people always have an opinion, no matter what you do. All you have to do is read through one YouTube video comments of someone that has a following, and you'll see people that love them, people that hate them, people that are in between, people that are just there to leave a troll comment, and you learn that you're never going to make everybody happy. Sorry, you're not going to make everybody happy. And not only that, there's a load of fucking arseholes out there that are going to try and make you feel bad for doing something you enjoy. So fuck them. Fuck them up the arsehole. Unless they enjoy that, then don't. Then don't fuck them at all. Then they're missing out on getting fucked in it. So that's what I think. I think just it's taught me a lot. I've had a lot of fun learning, and I love the editing side of everything as well. The creativity is such an outlet for me as a creative person, where my jobs, which are, I'll tell you straight up, the product sourcing in China and Taiwan is what I do for the family business, and then obviously the car parts business that I have with 621. But a lot of that is just online web shop stuff. It's not fun. Like, it's boring, if I'm completely honest. The best parts are when we get to go to shows and meet everybody and putting one of our cars on display, but that hasn't been happening for a long time for me. So having a creative outlet for myself has been absolutely fantastic, and it's stopped me going completely insane. So no, the answer to that question is no. I absolutely adore YouTube. I adore creating, even if it does bring you down sometimes, because some people are being quite nasty. You quickly get over that. Andy Luke, Keith Bob and Gob, I hope I've said your surname right, dude. I don't actually know how you pronounce it. Has asked me, and yeah, I have to just give a disclaimer here. Who's your I'm sorry, I have to give a disclaimer here. Sorry, I just got a text message come up while I was trying to read the comment, what I was saying. He actually works for Toyota UK, so I have to give this a little disclaimer. But he's asked, who's your favourite company that hooks you up with events and cars? Now, obviously, it is Toyota UK. They're the only big manufacturer that's hopped on board with me on my channel, on my social medias, and allowed me to have incredible experiences and go along with incredible other creators and just mix match and like have fun and put ideas to each other, and that I really feel that's how you grow. And I've made friends out of this too. Alex Calm, Sideways Sid, like I've made people that I talk to often from this, and obviously JM on Cars as well, and obviously Andy himself. There's been plenty of other people I've crossed paths with through him, but they're the people I stay in the most touch with. I actually Calms especially, because his girlfriend and his family live near me, so we've been able to like keep in touch via that, and it's been fantastic, man, honestly. But I have to say, Mr. Andy, where was my invite to the Supra launch? Boy, I'm pretty sure that as a drifter that also loves BMWs, a Supra that is powered by a BMW engine would be the perfect candidate to come along on one of these Toyota press drives. Do you not think for that? And you know, I think I'm not going to knock anybody else you took, because I quite like all of the creators you took. But I am going to say I think I would have been a welcome addition to that. But that's just me blowing my own trumpet. But hopefully we'll one day get to have a go in the Supra, even if it's just Andy lending it to me and take it up the road. But I actually take it to Snetterton for a track day. But don't tell him I said that. I think he wouldn't let me, but I think he would. I think deep down he'd love it. Tom Birdie has asked, what tyre brand do you run on your Civic for track days? Now this is a good question, because these tyres they're a bit of an addiction. I consider these a little bit like heroin. Like once you've had the best of the best, you can't really go back. Like I run Yokohama Advan A048Rs, and they are incredible tyres. They are so expensive though. On the Civic I've run 15s. I don't remember the exact size. I think they're like 205 45 15s maybe. 205 50. I can't remember exactly what they are. You'll have to remind me, and I'll tell you that in another video, in another podcast. But they have the most grip I've ever felt in my entire life in the dry. Like they are incredible. That's why I put those Volk wheels from the Civic on the Mazda if I do track days and that. I think they are an incredible tyre. But saying that, I am fully open to using other tyres. Now, one tyre I do want to try out is that AR1 from Nankang, because that looks sick. And also, I'd like to obviously try out a 888R I've never used those either, but they're just expensive. And I'll be honest, my heart's not really in track days at the minute. My heart is definitely in drift days. And I've been using a Federal RSR on the front with a Mohawk tyre on the rear, but I'm not going to buy sticky tyres for the front next time. I was told if I use some budgets or something, it'll kind of give me a bit more washout on the corner, and it might be a bit more fun to drive. So I'm going to try that. I'm just going to give it a go. It won't cost me anything because I've got an absolute garage full of Mohawk tyres, because I'm not sponsored by Mohawk. I'm not in any way, shape or form associated with Hankook, but I love Mohawk tyres. They're cheap, they last forever, they smoke pretty good, they've got loads of grip when you need it. I really like them. I really like Mohawk tyres. So that's that question. Sorry, I have not prepared another question, so let me see what we can find right here while we're talking. There's some really good questions. I'm going to save some of these for another podcast. My cousin Jack has actually asked me a question, which is sensible for a change, just a surprise. He said, what's your plans for 2019? I have a few plans lined up for 2019, and unfortunately, I've had to rethink one of my plans for 2019, and I'll talk to you straight up about the plan that I've had to rethink to start with, because this has really brought me down over the last few weeks, because I had a bit of a realisation that I'm probably not going to be able to get a car out at Ibisu, and if I am going to, it's not going to be any time in the near future. And if I'm being completely honest, this breaks my heart, man. Like, I really wanted a car out at Ibisu for one, because it feels like a really special thing to be able to do as a driver, like, especially as a drifter. You can like fly over to a purpose-built drift track, really, or whatever it used to be. It's now obviously a purpose track for drifting mainly, or tracks for drifting, and it's almost like to me, it feels like the heartbeat of drifting is there. Like, from when I went anyway, that was the sort of atmosphere I felt, and I just felt it was like the rawest form of drifting I've ever been a part of, and I didn't even get to drive. And I look at it as in a loving way, where I'm like, wow, I would love to be able to do that. That would be absolutely amazing. But I had the realization that it is an absolute fortune, like, to do it. You have to have realistically like £10,000 to £12,000 for your first trip. If you watch, who's that American fella that Adam Mills friends with, Taylor Ray. He did a video, basically breaking down all the costs, and that was in American dollars. And I've also got a friend called Kane who's going over to go to the Ibisu Matsuri this year. He's bought a Mark II, I believe it is, from Power Vehicles, and he's saying he's definitely going. He's got the car all sorted, and he's saying it's cost him about 11 grand for his first time. I know that cost breaks down over time, but I'll be honest, guys. I live on my own. I have all my own bills. I have my own mortgage. I have a dog that's obviously ill, so I don't like to leave him too often, especially while we're going through all of this stuff. I have my cars. I have a payment on my BMW. I got a loan to buy that car. So I have a lot of outgoings anyway, along with my Nissan Silvia build, the Honda Civic build, the Saxo now, the Legend that I'll eventually need to do, ensuring all the cars that I do keep on the road, the Touareg braking. I just have had a real dose of real life over the last few months, and it's kind of knocked me off my little, not holier than thou, but like my little, like, I can definitely do this. I can save up and go to Japan again and have a car out there. And I think I will one day. I hope I will one day. I hope I stay this in love with drifting for the rest of my life, because I'd love to be able to have kids one day and get them into it, because I feel like it's a really healthy thing to enjoy and to be a part of. But I had that reality hit that I'm not going to be able to go to Ibisu, which was my big plan. I was going to like do a whole thing leading up to it, not even on YouTube, just my own life. Like, this is like something that I've dreamt about since I was over there in November. Like, and that might not seem like much, but like since I was over there in November, I was like, that was my reason for going, was to see, like, do I want to invest in this and like go for this full bore? And the answer, I walked away and I was like, I don't want to ever visit anywhere but there. That was like, I want to live there. I want a flat right next to Ibisu, so I can just fly over and live there. And like, I did look at all the cheapest ways to do it, but realistically, right now, I physically cannot afford to do it. So I'm kind of getting my head down at work. I'm obviously working very hard now and trying my absolute best with everything, whether it comes to YouTube, etc. Because if my YouTube would bump up a bit, would take off a little bit, if people would get on board with it and understand what I'm trying to achieve, and obviously got the AdSense payments in, I'd be able to probably afford it, because I could just put all the YouTube money away, and within a year or two I could probably save up for it. But as of now, it's just not happening. I earn like £130 a month off YouTube at the minute, so I'm not going to be able to do it. It'd take me about 12 years to be able to afford it if I'm just saving off YouTube. So hopefully I'll be able to earn some good money over the next few years, and I'll be able to put some away, and I'll be able to... the thing is, I don't want to stop doing all my stuff here. I want to keep doing drift days here. I want to go up to Driftland in Scotland with all my friends. I want to go all around Europe next year, which I'll get to now. and that costs money, and I use all of my own money for this. The only stuff that I've ever not paid for is the stuff I tell you. I'm like, yeah, this was a sponsor, so that's that. And as you know, I don't do too many sponsor stuff. So let me have a quick sip of me tea. So just pick your nose for a second, and so good. I love being English because tea is just the best thing ever. Oh man, my nose as well. Sorry, I'm so bunged up with cold at the minute. So, what are my good plans for next year? What are my set in stone plans for next year? I plan on going to Orlando again for Formula Drift. Who I'll go with, I don't know yet. I kind of want to go with a few of the drift boys, so it can be a real drifty involved type trip, and maybe if we get lucky, hang out with Adam LZ again. I really like him as a person. He's a super sound dude, especially for being so famous as he is. So he was a really nice guy. Hopefully we'll get to say hello to him. And also, I think the Shanahans might be competing over in America. So I'd love to see Connor and Jack smash it out there and just show them what the Irish are all about. Because even though I'm not from Ireland, in fact, I'm probably from one of the furthest points away from Ireland in England. But I consider a lot of the Irish people that I've met good friends and even great friends, I want to go and support them because I think they're fantastic as a nation. I love them. I think they're wicked. And so I'll definitely be at Formula Drift. I'm probably going to be at a few of the car shows. The Civic should be ready by then, so I should have that on show. And we're going to go from there. I'd really like to get over to Next Level Drift in Poland. I didn't go this year purely because I didn't know about my Nissan working, and I need that car to be 100% reliable 100% of the time, have more lock. I've got all of my money that I've got saved. I'm putting into it now. I'm just waiting for my new paycheck to come in and my mortgage and payment for the BMW to go out, so I know what I've got to play with this next month. The car's going to go up to Dan Joyce of Low Origin, who I'm doing a podcast with next month as well. We're going to do it on their channel though, so make sure you check them out, and we are going to make that car absolutely sick. And I hope through my welding and the practice I'll be getting at home, I'll eventually be able to build myself a roll cage. That's kind of like my goal through it all. And yeah, I just that's that. The goal is to make the Nissan even better, to drive as much as I possibly can, help out where I can with anybody else that needs it, make some sweet YouTube videos, kind of find a route to go down with the YouTube channel that's like successful. I feel like at the minute it's a bit all over the place. Obviously the reviews and the features, and it just doesn't really have like a set theme. And I think like maybe I need to bite the bullet and put the features on a different channel maybe, and just roll with that. Or I don't know, you can give me your ideas on that. Would you still watch my videos if I put them on a different channel and just use the Adam Ivell channel as my car builds? And then maybe I can make them a little bit more professional and less sweary and less, arsehole-ish. Maybe more manufacturers would get on board. But yeah, we'll see with that. What else have I got planned for 2019? I think if I can get myself an A86 shell, I will. That's definitely something I want to do. It'd have to be a rolling shell, but we'll just see what money's like. Everything obviously depends on money. I think I'll be over in Ireland a couple of times. I really want to go hang out with the Juicebox guys properly. I want to hang out with Neil and Neil Tonto Neil as well, and like Kian from the Drift Games lot, the Drift IDC lot, and I just want to have I tell you what, I just want to live, if that makes sense. I want to feel like I'm living. One of my fears is that I'll be put on my deathbed one day and I'll be there and my last bit of breath will be like, wow, I really regret not doing that. On a more personal level, I hope to lose some weight. I was doing really well in the gym until I tore my ligament in my shoulder, or I'd damaged my ligament in my shoulder. It's been the most excruciating pain, and I've obviously it's put me back in a negative spiral, and I've been eating junk food, and I've not been looking after myself, and it's all my fault. And I hopefully be back in within about a month. I think that's what the doc said. From now, my recovery time is about a month still because of how bad it is. So it sucks, man. I know it sounds, some of you guys might not care, but I want to play more golf. I love golf. I want to do more golf stuff. I want to go on more dates with some girls. Like this year, well, the last 2 years, I've been out with a few lovely ladies, but I've been focusing so much on YouTube, on work, and I don't think people really understand how much goes into running a YouTube channel along with a normal job, let alone 2 jobs, and a dog that you have to look after yourself, and the car builds. Like the amount of, I don't have much free time for myself, and I think that's something I'm going to try and do next year. I'm going to try and give myself a few days of the week where I make sure it's just for me instead of like for YouTube or for work or anything like that. I'm just going to make sure I have a few days to myself so I don't lose my mind completely, because I feel like that could definitely happen, and I don't want that to. I want to stay sane as long as I can, and I need to try and start remembering stuff more. They're my goals for 2019: lose weight, date more girls, Even if it's just one, if I can find one nice one that works with me, that would be sweet. Build my car up so it's super sick, and maybe if I can afford to, get an 86 shell and modify my E92 M3. I'd love to. I've got exactly how I want that in my head. I'd love to take that to Nürburgring as well, but I think while I've still got the MX-5, I'll probably take that. I've built that car up, obviously, and I want to carry on with the YouTube series and that, so I think we're going to have to find some more stuff to do with that. But overall, I just want to get on more track days, and I just want to have more fun, and I want to do more drifting. I love driving, and I know a lot of people take... You get opinions based off of what they see of you on the internet, but I don't think anybody really understands that I could quite happily give all of this up if it meant I got way more seat time and driving time and actually become a better driver. Almost do the opposite of other YouTubers that have given up racing careers to become YouTubers. I'd do anything to give up my YouTube career, if you can even call it that, to become a race driver of some sort. Let me have another sip of my tea. My throat's getting dry. So, let me see where we're at. I don't actually know how long I've been talking for. I hope what I have been talking is entertaining enough. Let me see if I've got any more questions come in while I've been talking, or if, as long as they're sensible enough, not like some guys like, do you like Willie? Let me find some stuff. What do your parents do for a living? Well, I work with my dad. So, we do product sourcing in China and Taiwan, like I've mentioned. And, yeah. What is your... the dankest Vegeta. The dankest fajita has asked me, what's your most favourite driving/car memory? Now, I can tell you this straight away. It is the Nakayama track day I did with Kazoo from Osaka JDM in the ex-Kanjo car, the EF9. It was just... I think back on it now and I get shivers of how amazing that day was. And I was out with No Good Racing, the Kanjo team, No Good Racing, on basically a track day with just us in the middle of Japan. And... oh man, it was sick. Like, I can't explain. Like, I felt very lucky. I think that's the takeaway I get from that. I don't feel like I was special or above anybody. I just felt I was very lucky, and it was the bond that I've created with Kazoo over the years from Osaka JDM that he rewarded me with such an incredible experience. And it was just amazing. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I even now I'm looking at like, wow, that is insane. Like, I still cannot believe I got to do it. And I think that's like amazing. I'll be able to tell my kids that. I've got a picture of it on my hallway wall, a big canvas. I'm talking like, it must be 1.5 meters big each way, of just this huge, well, maybe 1 meter tall, maybe, I don't know, it's big though, of some of the cars from the track day. It was just like the best experience I've ever had when it comes to cars. That was just, I'll never forget that. I'll never, ever forget that. That was just my favourite ever driving experience ever. Right, I've got a couple more questions that have been asked. I've kind of answered a lot of these already, so there's no point of like answering them. I've just covered that one. The T Video UK, go give them a follow, has asked me about what car I'd take to the Nürburgring. It's a tough choice because I've got a lot of good little cars, and I just have to wait and see. I think when I do book up a trip, I'll have to go and do that. I've been asked a lot of questions that me and the Low Origin boys are going to cover when we hang out in a couple of weeks, so I don't want to answer those now. Edward Lowe has asked me, who influenced your love of cars and how old were you? I love the channel and keep up the work. I think it was a mixture of my mum and my dad, because my dad always loved cars anyway. He always collected like the Franklin Mint model cars, and he's still got them all, and they were so sick, but they're all the old American ones. But what my mum used to do when I was a kid, and my granddad, I lived with my granddad when we couldn't actually afford our own house back when I was a kid. Well, I wasn't silver spooned like a lot of people think I was. My parents lived separately. My dad lived in a little tiny house that just enough room of one person because he moved down from somewhere else. And my mum lived with her mum and dad still, and I was born and I lived with my grandparents and my mum in this little house in... oh shit, I just said where we live. So I lived in this little house. It was a beautiful little village, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And so I lived in this little house with my grandparents and my mum, and we used to have one of those car mats, you know. And what my mum would do is walk me down to the local village fair thing, I guess. What would you call it? Like a where it's a fair, isn't it? Is it a village fete? I don't know, like market, that's what it's called, a market. And there was a guy there that sold Hot Wheels for, I think it was £1 a car, 50p a car, £1 a car. I don't really remember because I was like a baby. But my mum would buy me one every week. She'd buy me one car every week, and I got to choose that car. And I can remember explicitly one time where I couldn't choose between cars, and she was like, "You're only getting one, you're not having two." I was like, now looking back, if it was my kid, I'd just buy him two because it's £2. But she was like, I literally, you can get one car, that's it. And I was like, all right. And it took me about an hour and a half to decide. It got to the point where my mum was like, well, "You're not having either of them if you don't decide." So, oh man, it's so sweet when you think back on it. But yeah, I think a lot of it was my mum. Me and my granddad would play for hours. I've still got his bright orange Ford Transit pickup truck that he used to have. So as a toy car in the office in the 621 shop, because it means a lot to me. So yeah, that was I feel that was what got me into it. But I also feel like heading up to the Honda garage when I was a kid all the time, and like, feeling like I was welcome there, it made it all spiral into what it is now. And I think growing up didn't help that I was the youngest in my year. I was a bit of a fucking loner, if I'm honest. I didn't really have that many friends in school, and I think that's testament that I'm not really friends with any of them now, apart from my cousin. But obviously we're friends because we're family, and I've become friends with some people that were in my year and in my school that I wasn't friends with back then after school, because I kept myself to myself. I didn't think anybody liked me, so I was just like kept myself to myself. And cars were my little safety net. I used to buy Top Marks and Auto Trader instead of comic books, and I'd memorize car stuff. So I found solace in them. So yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna finish on one last thing, and I'm just trying to find something that's a bit different, that's not normal. This is, like I said, this is just a tester podcast to see how it goes, and if it works out well, then I'll obviously do a lot more of these one-to-one ones. But so we'll just see where it goes. Like, I'm really just testing this to see how the editing and stuff goes for when we do get guests in, and once I've got this microphone situation set up, because I've got some real big YouTubers that I think you guys are going to love lined up, and some of them are controversial, some of them I don't think you're going to like off the bat, but I hope, like with Paul Wallace, we can convince you that these are normal guys, or they might not be, in the other hand, but we'll just see. I'm going to be as open and as honest as I can. Right, where are we at? I want to ask one more question. So let me just find one more really good question. Let me see. Most of these questions are just, the answer is A86. I think if you're about to ask me a car-related question, if A86 can be the answer, then it's probably going to be the answer. Or Ferrari F40. They're like my two cars that I really want. I will finish it on this. I want it to be a more personalised question. Okay. Do you plan on... Oh, it's not really a personalised question, but it is what it is. Do you plan on doing any more Snetterton evenings? Snetterton evenings. And that is from Danny Quinn, who was actually there last time. We said hello last time. He's a nice guy. Yeah, I do. As long as there are some. But I find that some of the track day guys that make them charge way too much money. And there's too many rules. And I prefer the full open track days where you can go and come as you please, basically, because if you get a red flag and the track's shut for 20 minutes on a evening session, you've lost like a 1/6 of your track time, really. So I prefer to do it on a different type where you can just go out for the whole day. So I think you will see a lot of track stuff from me next year, because obviously the last couple of years have been us building the cars. Next year I want to be out using the cars. I'll still have a build on the YouTube, I'm sure. I really struggle to not be doing something, as you can probably tell from all the shit I do. But yeah, I think that's probably the answer to that. Yes, there'll be lots more track content, and I hope to be able to get a bit more around the country. I really want to try Cadwell Park. That looks amazing. And we'll just see if we can link up with other YouTubers along the way, and obviously have some mutual benefits from that. Then it'll be rock and roll, but if not, then we'll just have a good time doing what we do. So I want to say thank you so much for listening to my first CarMugz podcast this year. Sorry it's taken a long time. Well, not this year, because I did the one with Paul Wallace, didn't I? But yeah, it's the first one in a long time. This side of this last few months, it's been a long time, and I really hope you've enjoyed the little chat we've had. I will see you on the other side. So make sure you follow me at Adam Ivell on my Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to Adam Ivell on YouTube. That's IVELL. Check out some of my videos if you haven't already. Check out the podcasts that we've done previously if this is your first one you've listened to. I thank you very, very much for your questions, and I'll see you, or you'll hear me in another video or podcast very soon. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Well, watching. That's the YouTube in me. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Peace.